nice story.
Great story.
But he ain't no Steph Curry. Is a problem. And talking all of that, all that chatter about what he was doing to Steph Curry.
Right.
I mean, for a guy that sat up there and picked Cleveland before the series began, I'm sitting there like this. Will you please be quiet? Stop talking about this, brother. This is a mistake because it's going to upset Steph Curry. Mm-hmm. Number 3, I have to acknowledge to you that, the absence of J.R. Smith. I mean, it has been so glaring. J.R. Smith is a guy that is supposed to be a talent, and he has been relegated to being nothing more than a shooter. And when his shot is not falling, there is nothing that goes right for him, and that's been the case. And then, of course, we look at David Blatt, some of the decisions that he's made. How does Timothy Mozgov go from registering 28 and 10 in Game 4 to playing 9 minutes in Game 5? It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, particularly when you consider the fact that even Mike Miller and James Jones played more minutes than your 7-1 center, who's got some skills. I understand that Steve Kerr and the Golden State Warriors have been brilliant in terms of electing to go small. They've been playing small ball. We understand that. Their biggest player on the court at times has been Draymond Green. We get all of that. But at the same time, you can't run with them anyway. So why not try to change it up? Why not try to make them play your style by banging, getting physical, getting the ball inside and doing some damage? Unfortunately, that's not something they've elected to do, and that's why they find themselves down 3-2. It's a collection of things that are going on. It's not one thing, but those are just some of them.
You made a whole bunch of points. I'm going to leave the Mozgov point for a few minutes from now. I'm going to go back to my takeaway from last night. Obviously, I picked Golden State to win this in 7 games.
Yep.
And I thought last night was a very weird basketball game because I'm going to remind everyone, with 4 minutes and 24 seconds left in that game, LeBron James had a point-blank jumper over Iguodala, right in the lane, just point-blank, 7 feet away, and it hit the back iron. If that goes in, it's 86-86. That's 4 minutes and 24 seconds left. LeBron had the pace in his favor. He had the low score in his favor. And it felt like to me, with 4:24 to go, LeBron had his team in perfect position to steal yet another game at Oracle.
Right.
And what happened from that point forward? Iguodala then goes down to the corner, the opposite corner, and hits a huge three-point shot. I thought that was the biggest shot of the game. Then LeBron doesn't box out on the next possession, and Iguodala gets an easy putback. All of a sudden, it's a 5-point game. It wasn't until that point that Steph, who again is my favorite player in the league, went absolutely nuts on Delly. But it's a 7-point game at that point. And by the way, Delly did, I don't know how you could play better defense than he did on Steph. On every shot that Steph made, I thought Delly mirrored him at the best he could play, got a hand in his face. When Steph is on, Steph is absolutely unstoppable. And when he found it last night, late, now they're all burial type points because it's already a 7-point game that goes to a 10-point game, and he scores those last 10 points. And all of a sudden, very misleadingly, that game turns into a 13-point, what felt like a blowout at the end. And again, 4:24 left, it was a close game. So my point is, the Cavs broke down, allowed 3 straight offensive rebounds in that stretch, which is unlike them because that's what they usually do to the other team. That was uncharacteristic to me. So my point is, as Cleveland goes home, I think Cleveland still has a lot of confidence it can win Game 6 and get it back here. I do think they do because, hey, you had them right where you wanted them last night. Am I right?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But what I'm trying to say to you is that to me, yes, they do have the confidence to win Game 6, and that's a story. That's a subject Will broach as the show progresses today. But what you have to understand is that if you're Cleveland, you're almost better off getting blown out and losing. I'll give you a perfect example. When your San Antonio Spurs lost the finals 2 years ago, they were up 3-2. They were up 3-2. They go into Miami. They try to close Miami out. And you know the fatal play. Chris Bosh grabs the rebound off the LeBron miss, feeds Ray Allen. Ray Allen hits it from the right corner, overtime, blah, blah, blah. What I'm saying to you is that one of the reasons why so many folks were confident that San Antonio would lose Game 7 is because, figuratively speaking, they had emptied the chamber. Now, obviously, they didn't because they competed in that game, too, in Game 7, and had Tim Duncan hit a shot in the lane, a hook in the lane. Very well may have been a different story. There is something to be said for things like that. When you look at Golden State and Cleveland is at a point right now where the more minutes they play, the more trouble they're in, because the mentality that Golden State has is stay the course, stay the course, stay the course. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You hear Draymond Green, you hear Andre Iguodala, you hear Steph Curry and everybody talking about how you can't prioritize locking down LeBron because you're not going to be able to do it. Where other players, you might make adjustment, make changes, and say, all right, he's getting off in the first quarter. We got to do something about it. Their attitude is, we know we're not going to be able to do anything but so much anyway about LeBron. All we can do is stay the course and wear him down. So my point to you is that I look at last night's game, and to me, Cleveland, in terms of the series, would have been better off getting blown out, where you said, all right, it's the third quarter, this is over. Sit down, we lost this, we'll see y'all Tuesday. The fact that they were in it as the game was winding down, you're expending energy from a team that's almost running on empty. And that's where your problem lies. I have no doubt that in all likelihood, Cleveland could turn around and win Game 6. But the problem with Golden State is Golden State's strategy this entire series has been about the marathon, the long stretch. As the game and the series wanes, we will gain the advantage because they don't have the bodies to deal with us. And Cleveland showed that yet again last night because everything was going just according to plan. And then the last 4 minutes, they faded. That's your problem apart in this series, and that's why they're in trouble.
Okay, back to your J.R. Smith point. This man does have talent, and it is explosive talent, and we saw it early. At one point, he obviously had a hot stretch, but he had 4 out of his first 8 shots.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, he disappears. Whose fault is that? Because they don't run plays for him. It wasn't until late in the game he had 2 force-up threes that he missed. But I thought he just faded from the offense. I was surprised they didn't feed the hot hand faster than they did, because off his hot stretch, there was 5 minutes that elapsed before he even got another shot. So he's not featured in the offense at all. It has to come on the fly.
That's fair, and that's a coaching issue, no question. But I am not letting J.R. Smith off the hook, and I'm going to tell you why, the biggest reason why. The Golden State Warriors have been the absolute worst nightmare for J.R. Smith's game. Here's why. Because the talent that they have really evolves on perimeter players. Even the bigs, the so-called bigs they have outside of Andrew Bogut, the so-called bigs they have perimeter skills. What happens is that they are showing JR how you're supposed to play. Klay Thompson's averaging 18 points this series. We know that he hasn't been a story, even though he exploded for 34 in Game 2. But do you watch Klay Thompson play? He's going to hit open shots. But if he's not hitting open shots, he might miss some. But he's creating space, getting his shot off. More importantly, he's causing problems because he's constantly in motion. He's cutting to the basket. He's getting fouled. Or he's distracting defenders away from a Steph Curry or away from a Draymond Green or away from an Andre Iguodala because of his movement without the basketball. All you kids out there who aspire to play basketball, understand. You don't just stand around and get the ball and go one-on-one. They want you to have the ability to do that because things break down, and if you have those kind of elite skills, that's better for you. But when you're playing within the confines of a structured basketball game, there is movement, there is spacing, and Klay Thompson knows how to do these things. J.R. Smith has been exposed as an individual who has talent, who can take you one-on-one sometimes, whose handle isn't great, but he can shoot and he can hit big shots and contest the shots. The problem is there's more to NBA basketball than just spotting up and shooting. If J.R. Smith moved without the basketball, the way that Klay Thompson moves without the basketball, J.R. Smith could go to the free throw line, y'all. He could score from the free throw line. If he got there, he never gets there. You know why? Because J.R. Smith is busy jacking up shots. That's it. And what I'm saying to you is that you have to be able to know how to move without the basketball. And the crime in all of that, he's been in the league long enough. He's supposed to know better. And I'm looking at other guards that are doing the kind of things that J.R. Smith has the ability to do. If he used this more and moved without the basketball, the Cleveland Cavaliers would be in a better position because he would be more productive. And that's the difference. Klay Thompson is playing the way J.R. Smith is supposed to be playing, but J.R. Smith doesn't use this the way Klay Thompson does.
LeBron has to use this for JR. LeBron has to feature JR more in the offense. And now let's move to your Mozgov point.
Yep.
I heard you say this on SportsCenter last night, and I wanted to throw something at the TV because I disagreed with you, but I knew I was going to get a shot at you here at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
7 o'clock here.
Understandable. Yes.
Don't let him throw nothing at me.
I won't. I won't.
Protect.
Silly me, I actually liked it that David Blatt decided to yank Mozgov from that game. Because what happened when Mozgov went 28-10 in Game 4 back in Cleveland? They lost by 21 points. And I loved it because yanking Mozgov kept that guy you just sarcastically referred to, Andrew Bogut, kept him on the bench the whole game.
I'm so surprised.
He is one of the best rim protectors in this game. He is one of the best. And LeBron James got to play all 4 quarters with no real rim protector unless you include Draymond in that.
Okay.
But again, LeBron James, for just about the whole game, really the whole game, he was the biggest and strongest player on the court. Seriously, when you think about it, who did Golden State have on the floor? Without Bogut, I know Festus played a little bit.
3 minutes and 12 seconds.
Okay, so I'm not even going to count that. So LeBron James had his way. The lane should have belonged to him all night. Again, he put up huge numbers, but I'm saying it's really advantage LeBron. When you don't have any Bogut in there, all of a sudden it's just Draymond has to come off his guy